on this computer, and I am going to share my screen. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in. I want to use this call for a few purposes. I wanted to just get an updated recording and an updated training with multiple team members so that obviously the couple of people that knew Feedback Automatic best are no longer with TitleTap. So I wanted to just take a few minutes to just give like an overview for everybody. We're going to go through the front end of Feedback Automatic, what the product is, what it isn't, kind of the three main core features or benefits from a customer's perspective. We're going to go through the back end a little bit and how to set up a client. There's new features and things that we've added over the course of the year. So even if you're familiar with Feedback Automatic, there may be some new things that have changed. Let me just check real quick. Zoom's not giving me to see people. If somebody's in the waiting room, let me just see if we have everybody. Yeah. If somebody pops in the waiting room or messages you all, just interrupt me because I don't have it up on my screen. It's not showing. It's not showing on my end. So I'll start with just kind of an application overview of Feedback Automatic. I know most of you know kind of what it is, but I just want to give you kind of the three high-level things that it definitely is, and the way that we kind of present it to our clients. The first thing is that it automates how they collect reviews. What happens a lot of times with our clients, and oh, here's another one. All right, so it just popped up on my screen. So what happens a lot with our clients is that they and this is common among professional service businesses, they give me a second here. Professional service businesses, oftentimes they are lacking in reviews. They maybe have a couple of people that leave reviews, or random people at random times leave reviews, but they don't always put a focus on collecting reviews. And as many of you know, online reviews now are almost trusted as like a personal referral. If you're shopping on Amazon, you first look and see if the product does whatever it is you think it'll do to solve your problem. The second thing you oftentimes look at is reviews, and that's human nature now. And that's the case as well with our clients. In years past, they haven't ever really done any kind of marketing because a lot of their businesses are driven off of personal recommendations or personal referrals, right? So a realtor will bring multiple clients to the closing table over time. Same thing with law firms. Like law firms oftentimes will operate like, oh, so and so, do you have an attorney for this purpose? And that'll be a referral. But the truth of the matter is, even when those referrals come into them, people will still Google you. They'll still kind of search and see, okay, like, is this a legitimate company? Yeah, I got a referral. And they'll just look, because no one wants to be the guinea pig. Nobody wants to be the first person to try something new. So that's sort of a shift kind of in the marketplace. So first and foremost, Feedback Automatic helps them systematically collect reviews on their various profiles. Anything from like, not Yelp, because Yelp has something against the terms, but like most other things like Google, Facebook, and then also like law specific ones, like drawing a blank, Martindale Hubble, some of the other like online review services for like law firms, Better Business Bureau is another one. So we have all those things built in to Feedback Automatic. The second thing that Feedback Automatic helps with is to help deter kind of negative feedback. So we have this kind of like door number one, door number two in our system that clients can turn on or off. Most leave it on, but oftentimes, if you've been in like professional services businesses, you'll have like a negative review, and oftentimes maybe it's not even like a client. It's not even anybody you've worked with. It's just a troll, or what we call a troll, which is just somebody who goes and like, or maybe they've mistaken you. If if you've done websites with us for a while, you know that like a lot of the companies are named very similar things. You know, American Title in one city it might be American or All American Title in another city, right? Or whatever. There's a lot of similar names. And so oftentimes it's just mistaken identity. Somebody will go to All American Title in the neighboring city and leave a negative review, and they weren't ever even a client. And they got the wrong company, right? So that happens actually quite a bit. And so what this system allows you to do is have like a feedback form front and center on your website where you can collect it, and then you can get ahead of any kind of negative feedback. So in our system, if it's a 3-star, or sorry, if it's 4 or 5 stars, it'll be considered good feedback, and that will go kind of right through to the third party systems. If it's a 3-star or below, it'll actually keep it just in FeedbackAutomatic only. It won't like refer them to say, oh yeah, go ahead and leave this on Google as well, right? Because the purpose of that is to try to collect information, try to reach out to the client or the supposed client, if it was an actual client, to try to resolve it with them before things get any worse or they do leave public feedback. It's not going to actually deter if they go straight to your like Google profile or your Facebook page and post something. It's not going to prevent any of that. But what it does do is when they go to your website, it gives them a place to vent or to put in information so that you can get ahead of it, right? So that's one kind of benefit.
There's
And
email too.
can you guys hear me? I've heard a little bit of background.
I can hear
you're
you.
still coming through.
Okay, cool. And then the last thing that it does is that it keeps your website reviews up to date. And this is surprisingly important for our clients because what happens a lot of times, if you've been in our support role or support chair, they'll reach out and say, hey, like the reviews on their website are like, 5 years old, right? They haven't updated them just because they're running their business. They're not really focused on it. But what this system does is we have some stuff built in where we can basically paste in a piece of code and it'll keep their website reviews up to date on their website as like a public facing. So those are the 3 kind of key components to FeedbackAutomatic from a benefit standpoint for our clients. So if there's any questions, go ahead and ask and interrupt at this point. But I'm going to walk you through just sort of the front end of a test account, just so you can kind of see what it looks like from the user's perspective. So here's an example account that I have set up on our test system. And this logo here is obviously FeedbackAutomatic, but it would be the client's logo. The colors would all match, so we can match the colors in the settings. So if their logo is red, the link can be red and the button can be red, that sort of thing. And essentially, like I said, there's 2 doors here. We have 5 stars, or we have smiley faces as well that you can do, kind of like a sad face all the way to like a really happy face up here. That's in the settings. But most people just go with the stars because it's in kind of a known quantity and it matches what a lot of the other systems do. But if I say I leave like a 4-star here and I just say service was great, and then I have, John Doe, and then I'll just put my email in, phone number, whatever. We have a couple check boxes here to prevent spam and just to kind of make sure people are not putting in what we would consider NPI data, which is like personal information, social security numbers, things like that. We don't want any of that information in the system. Submit and continue. And there's a couple different options here, but the way it's configured right now is right now, we have a Facebook profile and we have a Google profile. I left information. It was considered a positive review, so it gives me an option to go to the next page, and it's going to just kind of tell me, hey, this is already your information. Your comments have already been copied to the clipboard. We're going to take you right to the company page, and all you have to do is paste in. See if it loads here. All you have to do is paste in the review. So I must have it just to the basic thing. This is again a test account, but there's a URL you can get where you would actually be able to just paste in the review. And so let me just test it here. Service was great. So that's exactly what I had put into the initial review. So that's one door, like, it's door number one. I could also do door number two, which, I can do 1 star, or I can do 2 stars here. Coffee was cold, right? It's a really bad review. Do John Doe again. And then we have a kind of a follow-up system as well built into here where you can ask additional questions and things like that. I have that all disabled right now. So I'll just say done, but I'll show you that on the back end. And then it says, thanks for leaving feedback. We'll get back to you soon. And then again, we can't buy, a lot of the systems have a rule against gatekeeping. They call it gatekeeping, where you prevent somebody from leaving a review regardless if it's positive or negative. So we do have this link to kind of take them to the review system anyways, but it's kind of like a footnote. It's not a focus, right? So that's on a front end, that's kind of what our system does initially. So let me take you into the back end and just show you what this looks like. Okay, so here's my kind of recent 2 reviews. John Doe, the first one, 4 stars. We consider it resolved because it was a positive review. There's nothing really to handle with it. And then it shows here that I clicked through to Google because I did. It doesn't necessarily guarantee that I've left the review on Google because that's on their system. We have no way of actually tracking that. But it does show that they actually, whoever the user was, clicked on Google to go and leave a review there, right? So that's what that information shows. Same thing on this end. This shows, coffee was cold, that there's a problem. And with this, if I was the client, I get notifications and things like that. And what this allows us to do is assign it to specific people. If there's other people in the system, we can do that. We can resolve it here saying that, hey, this is a non-issue. John Doe never did business with us, right? Spelled that wrong. And I can leave a note there. It's going to update the database. The other thing I can do is I can message the customer directly from here. So I can say, hi, John. I think you have the wrong company. Here is a similar company name, and then whatever www site.com, right? And I can actually check this box and notify the customer right away, and then I can resolve it. So it allows them to kind of communicate in the system. And here's some other information. So that's essentially what the system does from a high level. I'm going to go through, what I'll do first is I'll go through some of the integration options, and I'll go through the setup and some of the back end settings when we're actually setting up a client. But in the meantime, are there any questions so far? Okay. So then this just shows a log, like customer notified, yes or no, what information was here, do you want to assign it to somebody? But I'm going to go ahead and resolve this one. And then I'll go back to the dashboard and I'll show you what that looks like. So that one shows resolved. I'll go back to the dashboard. And you can see there, John Doe, this one's been resolved. It's been updated on this date. And we're done. We're done with it essentially at that point. So there's a couple other things here that there's also we have a reporting engine here. And what this does is allows us to take a report. Let's just do like today and yesterday. And I can export nodes, export details, and I can only export certain types, right, if I wanted to. So let's just do all. And I can click this button. It's going to pop into a CSV, which I can't open in my browser, I don't think. So you're not going to be able to see it. But it basically has the reviews that were left in a spreadsheet form. So this is one area. I know there was a question, Amanda, I think recently with a client asking for the report. This is how Felix actually pulled the reports for each of the clients, or for each of the offices, just by going into their system and pulling the report based on the month, exporting it, and then kind of he just put it into, I think, one spreadsheet. So that would be how the client would need to do it as well, just going into their accounts. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great.
And then when a client logs in, they'll see something like this. If they're a administrator of multiple accounts, they'll see something like this. You can see these are my test accounts, Bob's Booze and my taxidermy company here. But they'll be able to go to the dashboard of each of these companies just based on that once they sign in. So that's the reporting. One thing that we have here as well is a feedback request form, and we don't really advertise this much or use it. Many clients don't use it, but sometimes they do. And oftentimes, if somebody's having a tough time and they want to go back and, for instance, they're just signing up, they have a client list of 100 that they want to go, like a past client list of 100 that they want to go and ask for feedback or review. This does give them the option to do that. We have a template in here that can be modified and saved, right? This will take them directly to their FeedbackAutomatic profile. There's a link here. All this can be modified. And then what we can do is we can actually send one by one, or we can actually have them upload and import a CSV with the contact information of the people. And when I do that, I can actually preview the drafts as well. So you can see here, I know they're grayed out right now, but you can just basically do next draft preview. That way, if you wanted to customize it per client, you could, and then you can send all at the same time. So that's a handy tool. Like sometimes we in the past we've offered like a one-time, like when somebody signs up, we offer like a one-time import of like the past client list up to a certain number. And that allows them to get some value out of the product right away. And so it's been helpful for them to do that. And sometimes we'll do that, for include that in the quote or whatever, when we pitch them. And then as part of that too, just to have a history, we also keep a log here of anything that has been sent out through the system, just so we have record of it. And we can look back at what went out and when it went out and who it went out to, that sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and go into settings real quick. And there is I'm not going to do it right now. There's I'll get to it here in a minute, but these are the general settings for every account that we have here. I'm not going to go through it page by page, because what usually pops up when what I'll probably do, I think I'm going to sign up for a new account. I'm going to add an account here, and then I'll actually go through like the setup process, just so everyone's kind of aware of what that looks like. Let's see if I can do that real quick. I don't know if I have any coupon codes. Any user with multiple accounts will have this dashboard. So I was mentioning that this is one account that I have for testing, but I have actually 3 different offices. And so we treat accounts as the same thing as offices or brands. So for some of our clients, they have multiple brands this way. For other ones, they have multiple offices. So if it's office 1, office 2, office 3, that would be listed right here. So I'm going to see if I can add a new office here. You know what? I don't have a coupon code on the test system, so I can't do that. Never mind. But it would basically look like that. Once I went through this, I added a coupon code for a free account just in testing. What would happen is once I set that up, this dashboard or this wizard would pop up. It would take you right to this screen. And this is how we actually set up clients. So once they pay, we set up a new account for them, either on the front end or on the back end, and I'll go through both. But basically, here's the core information that we need in order to set up an account for them. You need their business name. You maybe need their, a CTA button to their website or their contact page or something like that. their logo. You can resize it here. You can choose the logo there. Save and continue. And then it'll take me to the next step. The next thing we need in order for them to get value is you need to set up at least one profile. That's why actually a question came in this week I think it was the client was asking, hey, should we go ahead and just set up FeedbackAutomatic, or should I wait until my Google profile is set up? My response to that was wait until your Google profile is set up, because then we can just go in while we're setting it up and add it right here, and add it in right away, and then not have to come back in here and manually adjust anything. So let's save and continue. And then this is just a way to test the feedback, test to see if anything comes in. So I could do this if I wanted to. And it's just a way to get like value right away to say, to see what this looks like. But this also gives us an opportunity if they do have a small list of like, I wouldn't make it like thousands of past clients, but maybe they're like client list from the past year or 6 months, maybe it's 100 people or whatever. What we want for any kind of SaaS solution is for them to get value right away. And so this gives us an opportunity in setup to say, hey, client, do you have a short list of clients you want to go ahead and ask them for feedback on? And this gives you an opportunity to, number one, test it yourself just to make sure that like you get this, and then you can click on the link and the link works and everything else. But also that we can take this and we can upload it, upload a list and send all of those their past clients a request to leave feedback, right? So it's a way for them to get some value right away. So I'll just type in title.top.com, and then I could send and continue if I wanted to do that as a test. And so those are the basic things that we need. Whoops. And so it's going to take me right after that to the dashboard. But if I go under accounts here, oh yeah, I didn't add a new account because I didn't have a coupon code. I would see a new account in here if this was a new account that I created. But that's basically the setup. But let me go through a couple other things that I think clients really like with this solution. So this is the general tab. Here's some of the familiar information that we already just added. Here's rating style, right? So I was mentioning the smiley faces or the stars. Primary color, obviously the default is this color, but we can change it to whatever, right? So let's just select that color and save. So that'll change it on the front end, not necessarily on the back end. Page content, we have some templates for this stuff, but this is just, basic information that we would, put in for like if they wanted to customize the leave a review page, like if they wanted to say something in particular or something with blank, we could customize the text there. And then this is a really cool part of the system. I was mentioning before that when there was a negative review on my example, we allowed some follow-up questions. So for instance, where they would use this in practice is, say they're a 5-attorney law firm. Maybe the feedback came in, it was a negative review for a specific attorney. That would be a follow-up question. Hey, who did you work with? Who did you work with at our office, right? So what was the problem? You can ask follow-up questions, and it's not just if it was a negative response, it was also if it was a positive. You could do it either or both. So right here you have type, positive, negative, or both. So you could ask the question 100% of the time. You could ask it only if it's a positive review. You could ask it only if it's a negative. So this is where you would customize those kinds of questions in here. But this is actually a really handy feature. And you can see you have different options here: text field, text area, drop down, or radio button. And then you can customize the values and things like that based on if it's a drop down, there'll be certain values, value 1, value 2, etc. And then you can make it required or not required as well. So this is a handy feature that some people want set up as well. Here's where we add the different profiles. I don't know if can you all see my the drop down? Sometimes it doesn't show when you're screen sharing. Can you see like the results that are in here or not?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So these are the ones that we have. If there's a request for another one, we can always add it. These are usually very easy to add because all we do is basically link. We put the framework in and add. Oh, looks like Dean's entering here. We put the framework in, and we add basically a link to the specific service, and we take some screenshots of what it looks like for that forwarding page that gives like the instructions on what to do. Is essentially what the integration is. This is this is where you add that. There is we do have a new feature, and I don't have it handy here, but let me see if I can find it. I'll do right. I'll show you in a minute. This is we have a review widget that sits at the bottom, or it sits anywhere on the website, actually, any of these locations. But it's a widget that shows up, and it scrolls through the different reviews that people have left. And there's a feature in that where we can actually, if they have Google configured here, we can actually pull in the Google reviews. We just need the place ID, which is they're basically like it's a unique identifying number that they can find in their Google account that will actually pull in the reviews in that widget. So it'll show both the reviews that were left just on FeedbackAutomatic system, and then it'll also show the reviews that were left on like directly on Google. So that way it kind of houses them in one place, which is pretty handy. Not many people are utilizing that right now because it's a relatively new feature. Just to kind of go through this quickly, just email customization information, like what happens when a positive review is left. Do you want to customize it? What happens when negative reviews left? Do you want to customize the text? I'll go to the embed stuff in a minute. That's just a policy information. Let's go back over here. There's also some built-in reminders to this on the back end of the system. And again, a lot of people don't use these, but sometimes they do, depending on why. But I did want to call it out that we do have some, we can enable some reminders for the client themselves. So for instance, somebody leaves a negative review, we want to make sure that those are getting addressed. And sometimes, as you know, from working with our clients, sometimes they don't respond to emails or answer them very quickly because they're busy with other things. This functionality will remind them every 3 days or every 2 days, right? If something comes in, it's a negative review or it's outstanding, they'll get a notification, but then in like 3 days or 2 days, whatever you customize this, they'll get another notification saying, hey, like, oh, actually, this one's different. This is the internal reminder. Sorry, this is a different reminder. This reminder is for when somebody leaves feedback if they've had a positive experience and they haven't clicked through to Google or Facebook, that sort of thing. You can configure this to send their client a reminder to leave feedback, right? So this is it once it's automated in our system. So this is just one of the ways that we can do that. So there's internal and external reminders for that. This is a useful feature as well, and I wish I had an example up handy, but basically what happens with this is when let's say Jessica goes in and leaves a review on my company's FeedbackAutomatic account. If you have this enabled and you have this filled in, what will happen when she leaves a review is she will get a notification right here, ask the reviewer to share. She will receive a notification saying, hey, Jessica, thank you so much for leaving a review. Here's like a picture. It's like a 5-star, graphic essentially. Would you mind sharing this on your Facebook page, right? And then me as the owner would also get a notification saying, hey, Jessica left a positive review on your FeedbackAutomatic account. Feel free to share this graphic in your social media. So I can share it on my company page, and or she could share it on her personal page as well. And I don't have an example of it handy, but that's what this functionality does. And then this is just configuration. You don't have to worry about that. So that's mostly the back end, except for the embed. Here's that option that I was saying, hide anything below 1 to 3 star rating. And then also in the reviews, you can toggle between like if you want the first name, that last initial, or first initial, last name in the review format as well. So the last thing I'll show you here is there's also this basically these things to embed into your website or onto your website. So we have a few different options here. One, we have badges like this that one can copy the the JavaScript code for this and embed it wherever on their website. And then down here, if you scroll down, we have some slideshows or like a review page. They're pretty plain vanilla because we can actually, our team can actually customize this a little bit. So we made it pretty plain vanilla on purpose so that it can match the style of whatever the website that it's embedded on. But you can see the red will change. So if we change the primary color, the primary color changes with it. And then down here, it's going to show up. It looks like it's still loading on my connection right now, but there is this is the widget once it pops up here. There it is. So this is that widget that I was mentioning that can be embedded at the bottom or anywhere on the page. And you configure that in that settings page where it can be on this corner, it can be the top left corner, top right corner, top center. You just have to kind of adjust it based on the other widgets that the client has on their website. And then obviously these are, you can click through these. And this is where it will also pull in Google reviews as well, if you have that configured in, on the back end as well. And then on the feedback side, on the requesting feedback side, we just give them a few options here, but all of these can be modified. We just gave them some examples, like if it's a website link or a website button, right? An email signature. And then the primary goal once they sign up is getting them on the, basically getting it integrated with whatever closing or practice management system that they use. So again, this is where you get the information, and again, you could figure it out, right? It's this URL, but this gives them a little bit more of like, hey, we'd love to know how we did. Please copy the link or click the link below to leave feedback. This can all be customized. So this will copy it in like HTML text for whatever system that they're using. So let me pause there for a minute and let me just look at my notes and see what I covered and what I didn't cover. And then if there's any questions, go ahead and fire them off. So I went through, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hop in real quick, Elliot, if that's all right. So
Yep.
just to give you guys some context too, and some of you might be familiar with seeing some of these requests come in through the support email, but in some cases we'll be fielding folks who have forgotten that they purchased this and things. So again, there could be any number of opportunities for them to like re-engage with the tool. So sometimes, I mean, this tool really is designed to be a self-service. There really isn't a lot of like support or ongoing marketing or things like that we do for them, but we do enable them to, deploy this in a lot of different ways. You can kind of see from these integration pages. This is usually one of my first stops when we're doing like retention calls. And so if they haven't, put this in their email signature, if they don't have it on the website, I mean, so kind of use this integration page as like the flow chart, right? I mean, so if we're looking at some of those things, if we're ever fielding those types of retention emails or people have questions about it, like this page here is one of my favorite because it's kind of like the what's possible page, and so they can put it in all sorts of different ways. If they only have it on their website, and hey, do they have the widget, do they want the widget, do they even know it exists? So most times this resource here is like the most often forgot, but it's probably one of their most powerful assets to actually market this thing. So not sure if that's helpful, but I just kind of want to give some context because sometimes looking at it from a retention side, we get a little bit more intelligence as to like how people are using it. I don't know if you guys have seen the marketing pieces that we also supply, so like the QR codes and things. Again, are those at the closing table? Do they have those deployed in some way? They can share those on social. So there's a lot of different ways to like really get behind it. If there's ever questions, obviously we kind of have an SOP for fielding it, but again, just knowing kind of what's possible, I think helps to kind of round out like what the offer is intended to do and how it works.
Yeah, that's helpful, Cody. That's helpful. So let me go through real quick. I'm just looking at my notes and what I didn't cover here. One thing I didn't cover on the back end is user levels. So let me go to users right now, and I'll just kind of give you a rundown of the different user levels, because that's another thing that happens in the setup. I might have to add another user. Oh, manager one. All right. So we have three main roles essentially for the different user levels. Obviously, there's a super admin, which is like you and I, where you'll see more of like this stuff over here on the sidebar. I'll get into like the super admin side in a minute, but from a client's perspective, you have a manager, a reporter, or a staff member. A manager is kind of like a manager, owner, that sort of thing. They have full kind of access to do anything in here. A staff member is like an average user. They'll only have visibility to the organizations that you give them visibility, but they can do a lot of the functions. Maybe not all of the settings, but they can do a lot of the functions on the back end where they're, assigning it to somebody or leaving comments or replying to a client or whatever. The reporter gets no notifications. They are basically interested in they can access most of the full back end. It's more like a manager. They can access the full back end, but they don't get any notifications, or they just want to come in and see what's going on and get maybe run the reports, for instance. So those are the three main levels when you're setting up the user accounts for the customers. So that's user levels. So I can mark that off my list. And then a couple other things to cover, and I'm going to actually pull this document over real quick. A couple other things to cover on here. We have there's a launch process, and I'll go through kind of the onboarding process in a minute. And then we have a support portal as well, which we should regularly add articles. So if we're getting a question from a client, film a video, or like for instance, Amanda, I was just mentioning to you the other day about the request for the reports. Like, hey, can you send me reports every month? Well, we can't send you reports every month, but here's how you do it. Here's a video. We should publish that to our support article, so we have that article in the future to point to, saying, hey, make it generic, that sort of thing. And then basically just adding a blog post on our website. And so I'll show everyone where that is. We also have a launch graphic that we give as well for this. And then really the key component when we go live with a client is to make sure that they have it integrated on their website and in whatever production suite that they're using. If they don't right up front, if they don't ever put the link into their system, then they will churn at some point because they're not going to be getting any value out of the system. That's just what is going to happen. They're going to cancel at some point. It's a whole lot easier to have the discussion now and say, hey, we're not set. The system's fully set up. We just need to put this into whatever system you have. And then in that same process, when you figure out what system they have, whether it's like RamQuest or whether it's, Cosmolex or whatever system they have, it's important. Let's create like a little bit of like a how-to and add it to the support articles as well to build that out over time. So that way we have those recipes as time goes on, as we get more and more clients for a specific solution. And what I mean by integrating this into the system is at the point of sale, it's proven that the best time to ask for feedback or for reviews is right at the closing of the sale, right? So for instance, if this is let's just call it like a retail transaction. You go to a store, you buy a pair of jeans. The best time to ask for the review is at that point of happiness of like, hey, thank you so much. Here's information on how to leave feedback or a review for our store if you had a good experience or whatever, right? Same thing with like a restaurant. It's when you get your check. Same thing with like a real estate closing. It's at that point of, hey, the deal is closed. We'd love to know how we did. Here's a link to leave feedback, right? It's at that point. Same thing in any kind of like law situation. It's when the invoice or the receipt goes out, for the services rendered, right? So that's really the key component, the key area where it'll probably require a little bit of communication with the client to figure out what systems they have and at what point we should put the link in. What's capable in there. They may not even know what's capable in their systems, that they're able to do that in a lot of these systems. But a lot of the systems that they're using already have like a notification mechanism in there. We just need to basically modify the template that is, that goes out to their clients in those instances. So Dean, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but that's really the ultimate goal in the setup process, is to get that link from the integrations page in the, in their system, whatever they're using. Doesn't matter, whatever they're using.
Correct. Yeah. So, and just to kind of build on what you're saying, it's because, at that point, these systems have an automated feature where they go out and do the ask. We at least know that it's going out, and the metrics can start verifying that, because as people leave reviews, we'll be able to kind of look at the dashboard and see how many they have going. But yeah, I do want to stress this is a very important piece, because oftentimes when we see people come back claiming it doesn't work, or it's just ultimately they're not utilizing it, right? And they never finish this step. Obviously, putting it on the website, email signature blocks are great, but the production system, these are systems like AccuTitle Suite, where they have Closer's Choice, and Title Fusion, and a couple of others, RamQuest, all these different SoftPro, all these different closing suites. A lot of them have this mechanism to send a thank you. So we just need to make sure we ask what system they are on, and then walk through kind of where they need to put this so that it's set up before we actually quote unquote call it finished or go live. But yeah, this is helpful because it gets the system working.
Okay, so I will share. So one other thing I want to talk through is we do have a special deal with AccuTitle, and so I do want to call it out here. They're a partner of ours, and they actually do a lot of the tier 1 stuff. Like for instance, they do tier 1 support, so like kind of first line of defense for any kind of support. They also do their own setup as well, and so we have a special deal with them where they get a discounted rate, but they're actually handling the sales side of it, and they're handling the setup side of it. So they're actually in here all the time using the widget, using the wizard to actually set up clients. And we gave them some coupon codes for basically the client size. And then what we do is we bill them every month. And Megan Hine actually handles the billing for that particular for this particular client. So so basically on the front end, when they sign up, there's no charge up front. Instead, we bill them basically send them an invoice with a listing of all of the clients that they have on the system every month. So I did want to call that out just so everyone's aware that there is like the subset of a client, AccuTitle, that we do this for. So let me just go through that real quick, just so everyone's aware and we have it on record in this training. You shouldn't have to get in here too much to do it. But if I was going to sign up for them, this is what I would do. We have basically to get into the system, it's login, which I think I'm signed in right now, so it's not gonna. Yeah, so I'm already signed in. I have to sign out. Let me just let me sign out real quick. So we have app.feedbackautomatic.com or test.feedbackautomatic.com/login, and then we also have a link for register. And this is in the document. This isn't anything here. These are kind of pricing rates, but most people fall in this range. In this first tier is pretty much what we sell. And you come in, select the plan, agree to the terms. And then this is where you kind of name the site, right? So, we can do, it's, I don't know, parking lot. And then I'm just going to copy that. Here, we can create a email, password, that sort of thing, create an account, and then there's an option for a coupon code that we provide as well for AccuTitle. And then from there, they create an account and they're off to the races. Just trying to think of what else I need to cover with that. Oh, on the back end, let me go to the back end. So this is a super admin. I'm signed in production right now, super admin side, but there's if you go to, WP admin and then you go to network, we have a couple other things here that I just want to call out. We do have a sites page. This is similar to WordPress because it's built on WordPress, so this should look somewhat familiar. But we have this dashboard here, which this is where Megan actually exports these sites and is able to look it up by, some of these are test accounts. That's why they're not showing up here. Hold on. You can actually see the users on these accounts. So like Suncoast1, Kevin at Suncoast1. So you can see some of the users on some of these accounts here. And this is how she reconciles the AccuTitle accounts because they're all billed under a specific site owner. And so she'll export this into a spreadsheet, clear out the stuff she doesn't need, and just do a count. And based on that, that's how she bills AccuTitle on the back end. Scroll through my list real quick and just see if I'm missing anything else here. Oh, the onboarding form. So we do have an onboarding form here. And this should be the one that we use now, the Cognito forms. So this it's pretty similar to what we use now, for websites and for other things, but it just gives the customer a couple of options to customize what they want to use, right? And we have some suggested text in here and that sort of thing. But this gives them the option to add team members, like in what role that they want: manager, staff, reporter, which I already went through. Just trying to see here. Stars and emoticons. And then this is like the different platforms that they have. So that they have, Avo, or they have Google, or they have Facebook, or whatever. This is where they configure that from, or at least like give us the information to configure it. So it's pretty straightforward. It's a lot of the stuff that I went through right now. I'm sure it'll take a time or two setting up a client to fully grasp everything. Any other questions thus far? I know I'm forgetting things here, and I can always hop on a call when we get kind of our next couple in, so that we're if there's any questions or whatever, we can work it out and work through it. There is a full SOP here with draft emails and things like that. But obviously some of these things may be a little bit out of date, so we'll adjust them as time goes on and just make sure that we keep the information up to date. Oh yeah, the QR code and the flyer. There's a SOP on this right now. It's done in Canva, and then we have and this is just another way for them to get value out of the system. So again, here's an example. This would be like if it's a business card. If they wanted a business card, give them the option. We would just generate a QR code using QR code monkey. And it would link straight to their system, and then we, give them this, and they could print it or do whatever they want to do with it. Same thing here if they'd rather have a flyer, right? So at the closing table or at the point of transaction, if they'd rather just have like a conversation with somebody and say, hey, I'm going to go wrap this up. While we're waiting, if you had a great experience, we'd love to get your feedback, right? Here's a flyer, right, that you can scan, or if they have it in like a frame or something like that at their office, that's always helpful as well. So we just try to give them some tools to have some success with the system. Testing complete. This is just the testing, the response. And that is, I think, all I have right now. Just kind of a loose training, but I did want to just get everyone up to date on the system and what's new with the system, such as the widget and things like that. Any questions or comments?
Will you send out that SOP? I don't think I have that one.
I will. Yeah, I will, Cassie. I'll send it out after this. And like I said, it's a bit out of date. What I'd like to do in time is clean it up. So as we're as we're discovering new things, you know, it should be a living document, but it hasn't really been updated that much over the last year or so. So it definitely can be cleaned up a little bit. We can adjust the email templates and stuff that are in here, but it has kind of the step-by-step. It has the partnership stuff with AccuTitle. It has the onboarding form information. It has draft emails that we would send a welcome, you know, like welcome emails and step 1, step 2, step 3, that sort of thing. But yes, I will share this with everybody after this call. What else?
I think Jessica has a I might have it somewhere too. But a recording, like a Zoom recording of the onboarding process that I think John and Felix recorded some time ago. I don't know how old it is or how accurate it is, if there's been recent changes, but I think we can probably share that too if we need to.
Yeah, that's actually in this document, and I'll highlight it in here. Can you guys see my screen again? It's right here.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay.
So there's the most recent one. This should be, for the most part, up to date, and that'll actually walk you through the same steps that are right here, right? So this is kind of a text form of the onboarding steps. This is the video version of that. Like I said, this just hasn't been organized. This is my training list that I just went over because I wanted to just kind of do kind of soup to nuts, full coverage of what the system was, give everyone just like a basic overview and highlight some important points with the system. So, and then just to let everybody know, the support part of the system is right here, feedbackautomatic.com/support. So anyone who's, everyone should have access to that as well. And that's where we put our support articles for the system. And like I said, we just want to, these are up to date, but we probably need to continue to add them. So as we have those questions that come in, let's solve the problem once, do a video or whatever, like whatever bullet points that we give the client for an answer, and then let's add them to this system so that we have it in the future. That way in the future, we can just send them a link, you know, like this link, right? You know, how do I do this, right? Boom, here's the information on it. And this will be a really helpful resource, and just to continue to build these out over time. What else?
Is the onboarding Trello board linked on there? I don't see it.
Good question.
I
Probably
have the
not.
link if you need it. I can add it
Yeah, if
on
you
there.
Yeah, I'll just onboard it. And so just to kind of actually, that's should be delinked. Yeah, I'll let you fix that. I can't talk
I'll
and
fix it.
talk and chew
I'll
gum at
get
the same
it.
time, you know. So just to let everyone know, right now that this is not a super heavy lift. We have, as you see, we probably have maybe 2 tickets a week, maybe 1 or 2 new clients a month right now with Feedback Automatic. That is set to change. Cosmolex is very interested in Feedback Automatic. Cosmolex and Mango does their CPA, their clients are CPAs, but they're very both companies are very interested in Feedback Automatic because that they actually get the request. We actually have one that's pending right now that for Cosmolex website client that has asked about this type of solution. So it is something that people are asking for kind of loosely, and both companies are very interested in it. So we plan to grow this, and it's going to be similar, kind of like a hybrid between like what we do for like AccuTitle and like maybe we do some of the onboarding with. It's pretty easy. I mean, the onboarding is not difficult. It's not. I mean, you can do it in 30 minutes probably if you have all the information. 30 minutes or less, and that's kind of starting off. But the volume should go up in time, and that's kind of the goal. It's just to kind of refocus this. Let's clean up the SOPs. If you see something that's out of date, fix it or ask the question. Like, let's work together as a team. But I wanted to broaden the knowledge about Feedback Automatic with all of you, just so that we have some more people that are familiar with the system, how it works. Many people know how to set it up. Many people know how to support it. that sort of thing, because I think we're going to be growing the system in time, because it's a great add-on product for websites and for practice management and for other things, because it integrates with all those systems. And it's the next kind of ask that clients go to, as we found with websites. Once they have the website and they have some of their marketing actions down, oftentimes they want to focus on reviews. And attorneys and other practice areas, they know that reviews sell their services, right? They're learning that, right? They're learning it a little bit slower than the average consumer, but they are learning that, oh wow, my reviews actually do something for me. And so that's, I think, going to become more and more popular over time. So that's really the purpose of this. I know this is, like I said, a loose training, but just let me know what you need. Now that everyone's aware, we can always schedule a part 2 if there's other questions or whatever, or reach out directly to me and we can figure it out. But that's all I have. So I'll go ahead and end this. I'll share the SOP with everybody, and then we'll go from there. Amanda, in the meantime, do you need anything with the existing the pending issues?
There's one onboarding. Do you want me to go ahead and take that, or what do you want to do with that one?
I would say maybe if you all want to huddle and go through it together with me, we could do that as a good next step. I'll let you all drive, one of you, but I can be there for, oh yeah, you do this instead. But go ahead and review this information, and then maybe we can schedule that early next week or something like that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
The other recording one I'll take care of.
perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.